You gotta understand that I'm filming this instead of going and playing the fucking video game. The video game. Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're doing a special video, a different kind of video. A few months back we talked about HBO's amazing TV show Vinyl and its amazing original soundtrack and song listing. Unfortunately, the show got cancelled, but we still loved the season and consider the soundtrack for the show fantastic. We did a whole another video just about that. You can watch it by clicking in the corner right here. Today we're also discussing the soundtrack, but not to a TV show or a movie. Besides those ones and the music, of course, we do love video games and gaming culture. And when we heard that none other than Hudson Mohawke himself produced an original soundtrack for my personal favorite UBISOFT's franchise's new game, Watch Dogs 2, we knew that we are going to talk about it here on Meanwhile on the Other Stage. It's not so new and not so common for considerably indie artists to do a soundtrack for a big game release. I still remember a spectacular score record by Neil Davidge from Massive Attack for 2012's Halo 4. Trent Reznor, besides doing some beautiful movie scores, did a great one for Quake video game in the 90s, 96. I think maybe 95, I think 96, 1996. I think it was the Quake year. It was the year of the Quake. I do still love and re-listen to quite a lot, I would say. Maybe not. I do re-listen it though, to the Max Payne 3 soundtrack, also from 2012 by Californian experimental rock band Health. The track called Tears, probably the most famous one from the game, is truly masterpiece. And the game was great, by the way. Max Payne 3, it was a good game. There's also, of course, the soundtrack for arguably the worst game of 2016, No Man's Sky, which score done by British instrumental rock band 65 Days of Static is actually beautiful, much better and much more interesting than the actual game. And Watch Dogs 2, well, this time Ubisoft decided to take it quite seriously. Thanks God. And in a very cool internet friendly, digital friendly way. Most of the people hated the first part of the game, the first Watch Dogs in 2014, because it didn't match the expectations at all, and overall the game lacked stability and structure and had lots of issues as within the game process and in the character story matter. I still did enjoy the game, probably just because I'm really interested in the hacker culture quite a lot, though both games are very far from some actual hacking. But still, I thought it was a cool game, and I fangirled hard hearing about the second part, and that it would be very different to the first Watch Dogs. New game is much less drama based and much more fun, youth, crazy based. It focuses on hacktivism, big data, usage, anti-establishment, global corruption, the power of the people, and the power of the internet. Internet culture, digital culture plays probably the biggest role in Watch Dogs 2. We see it everywhere, we feel it in all the things throughout the game, and most importantly, we hear it. For that, Ubisoft called one of the coolest modern experimental electronic producers Hudson Mohawke. Last year, HUDMO released an anticipated Lantern record, which I personally really enjoyed and still come back to. Before that, in 2009, he released his debut full-length Butter, which a lot of people consider HUDMO or Ross Burchard, which is the real name of Hudson Mohawke, if you didn't know that, at his best. He also works with lots of other different artists, like he produced half of the tracks on Anani's amazing record from this year, Hopelessness, or did work with Kanye, Drake, Pusha T, other people probably. And now HUDMO takes on creating music for the hacker world, the hacktivism world, and the digital world. Probably the last one is the easiest one for him, since he's a modern electronic producer. Hahaha. What's really cool about this soundtrack, which by the way has an official title, DatSac, that's the hacker group name in the game, is that it actually works without the gameplay, just by itself. It sounds very Hudson Mohawke like. Duh. Especially a lot like his earlier material, but at the same time, it sounds like a good follow-up to the previous year released Lantern. And besides all that, we can hear previously unheard tones in his production, which he might have learned from working back-to-back with other mastermind producers. HUDMO music has a sense of dramatism to it, so it fits perfectly with an action-adventure open-world video game. Here on DatSac from the start, from the very first track called Shanghaied, he collapses the digital, the synthesized, all the fast drumming beats, eerie sounding bright synths, blasting sound waves with somewhat much more acoustic. Beautiful piano, strings, and a children's choir? This mixture is an interesting take for a soundtrack of a video game about digital things taking over the real world, having more power over it than ever. Same happens on a mysterious closer track, The Motherlode, or on a much more eerie paranoia like HAUM Sweet Home, before it blasts in its chorus into something much more huge and layered. Somewhat like if you were really scared to jump off a cliff and you finally did it and it felt so good. There are various shorter cuts on the record, like a kinetic experimental programming tracks Balance or Citrus, with some weirdly satisfying sample of vocal loop and drums. Or on a more racing, more aggressive and precisely digital Cyber Driver Opera or Burnin' Desire Hacker, with its fading away squeaky computer sound effects by the end, which by the way happens here and there over the entire album. I mean, it's a game about hacking, so. Or an absolutely unexpected ambient take on the track called Watched Cinema, which heavily reminded me of Oneohtrix Point Never, with whom Hudson Mohawke worked on Anani's records, so I could see where the influence came from. Amethyst tracks instrumentals drive me insane. A dial tone mixed with last decade's horror movie vibes, cut it through with some super cool modern electro sounds, like a snare or such thing, I'm not even sure. Play and Go track is probably my absolute favorite on the entire album. It sounds huge and blasting in its choruses and has this magical floating water-like sample throughout, some either African or something like that sounding drums, and yeah, overall it's an amazing track. It's Hudson Mohawke at his best. Not all the tracks are based on drums. There's an easygoing, relaxing Eye for an Eye reprise, 1.5 minute track, where HUDMO proves that he can sound entirely different. I can easily imagine this track used in other games, much less action games and much more relaxing, thoughtful games, like in Journey, for example. I didn't finish the game yet, so it's hard to tell where exactly which track follows. You can definitely easily catch the atmosphere. Burnin' Desire track or Robot Finale, for example, give away a much more positive attitude, rather than Eye for an Eye, with even some psychotic charm. A much darker track with some nightmarish or danger feel to it. Watch Dogs' theme track, which again works greatly. I think it plays during the menu of the game, and that is why I personally love to open it up, because I just love hearing the female vocal loop with some wavy cosmic layers of chords. In the album version of the track, I really love how everything kind of fades away into the distorted madness. This track feels simple, yet it's very complex. A lot like hacking does seem to people who are not really understand it that much. Like how hacking is represented in most of the movies or TV shows, besides maybe Mr. Robot, and games including Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2. So yeah, it's cool. it fits well. I love how the soundtrack, or call it a Hudson Mohawke's conceptual record, does feel post-apocalyptically Blade Runner style digital, yet very our times with some like hip-hop swag attitude from time to time, with piano or harpsichord coming out of nowhere. And all these choirs and different kind of loops of vocals. It sounds very beautiful. In the case of Watch Dogs 2, it is a perfect soundtrack for something like this. I don't know if Ross was able to be inspired by watching or playing the game or reading the scripts of the game that much, but it matched the gameplay really well. The story, the characters, everything just works together in a really beautiful way. Since we're talking about Watch Dogs 2 in this video, I can't miss the fact, besides the original score, there's a song list in the game with tracks from all the different bands and artists which in the game play on the radio station or on the streets or in the shops and everywhere else. And sometimes in some games, in most of the games, this song list kind of suck, but here in Watch Dogs 2, it's actually pretty good. My favorite radio stations are hip-hop one and the electronic one. There are songs by Run the Jewels, Nerd, Crystal Castles, Bob Marley, Duran Duran, Anti-Flag, Dizzy Rascal, Major Lazer, Prodigy, Megadeth, Aphex Twin, Lone, Blade, Rusty, Boys Noise, Pup, Deadmau5, and many others. The game feels vibrant, fun, and energetic, and the soundtracks, both original and the compilation one, help hugely with that. Yeah, I can talk about Watch Dogs 2 quite a lot. I'm a huge fan, and so far, for me, this is the game of the year, though it has its own flaws and probably will have more flaws on the PC version, but it doesn't really bother me that much, okay? And oh my god, I love the original soundtrack by Hudson Mohawke. It's fantastic. Let us know what do you think about video games, soundtracks, DedSec, Watch Dogs 2 by Hudson Mohawke, and about everything else in the comments down below. You can also hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. All of the links are available in the description. Don't hesitate to put tape over your webcam, and let's take back control. Peace off.